Yo! Sorry, my mic was muted. Dustin just popped in, and I might call it a wrap-up on the Pokemon Snap. I kind of want to talk about something completely fucking different because of something I've been watching a good bit of for a while now and keeping an eye on. Well, not that long because of the crazy stuff. Let me go to home so it's not making so much noise. There's been some crazy shit going on. I don't know if people know this. I'm sure people do to a point. But, yeah. And I'm pretty intrigued, actually, by this.
What's up, guys? Sorry, I forgot to read.
So I might be changing all the titles in a minute. I'm going to go over this with Dustin. I'm sure he's seen some of this shit. Have you seen this guy claiming to be...
I was about to say, a lot of guys.
Claiming to be Jesus's... like he's the
I heard about something like that. I didn't actually see anything yet, but
so,
I did hear about something like that.
I'll be dead honest. I'm not fucking Christian, okay? I follow more of a Christian ethic, more so than actually the religion. And obviously I'm not following every ethic in the Christianity ethic. But dude, there's some things going down that like the Old Testament and the New Testament are talking about. Now I don't know if this is just relative because of geopolitics, but man, I've been saying this since...
Here's my question, is, did Bill Gates read the Bible and was just like, yeah, I'm going to do this shit?
No, this has nothing to do with Bill Gates.
But
this guy might, but...
Right, but Bill Gates is trying to do some shit.
Yeah, but it's not Bill Gates. It has nothing to do with Bill Gates.
Shit. I'm just saying, like, in general...
That's not the biggest problem. Like, all right, so... Let me change titles real quick, because this is something I actually want to talk about with Dustin, because we haven't talked about this topic in a long time. We used to do it all the time when we were younger, just to be like, listen to to go through the religions and the all that.
I don't think we've ever had anybody claim to be Jesus's biggest kid,
descendant.
Great.
Oh, I'm sure I'm sure it's happened before.
Just not.
But what the fuck? Jesus Christ! Fucking kick! What the hell is going on? Why'd you unmute, you fucking tard? Anyways.
How did you even turn on? I didn't push the button. I didn't push anything.
I'm sure it's happened before, but there's too many things lining up right now. And maybe that's happened before too.
Oh.
But...
Right. I did a thing.
Doubt.
I did a thing. Look at my thing.
I'm leaving it... No. No.
I hung it up my TV.
I'll just mark it as a podcast.
I hung it up my 4K TV, guys.
I guess D-Live didn't want
back scratcher, get your back scratcher
to
here.
Get sued by Twitch.
Anybody?
No, I definitely put podcasts in there, asshole. You just didn't take it for whatever fucking reason. Anyways, we'll talk about this because. Here's the problem, right?
Alright, so that's
there's too many things lining up, and I don't like it, okay? I don't like it.
Oh, I hate it. Your father hates it. Your Aunt Nettie watches it.
I don't like it at all, okay? I don't fucking like it, and there's a reason I don't like it, okay? Now, I did grow up pretty Christian. Like, my family wasn't super religious or anything. But, like, we were pretty fucking... We followed a Christian ethic for the most part. Obviously, not everything. Again, keep that in mind. I'm not a perfect person. I don't claim to be Christian. I don't claim to that I'm a perfect Christian or anything. But I was watching a breakdown video of this guy earlier, and I kind of want to talk about this. And the reason I want to talk about this
Was it a sick
is
breakdown?
because, to me, this is more interesting than 99% of everything going on in the world. Because of the mythological nature of it. Whether it's a myth or not, that's completely up to someone to show me.
Anybody? Yeah, I'm gonna need some solid evidence.
So me and Dustin have had thousands of theories over the years, talking about
anybody can say they're descendant. No, fucking Andrew Tate could come out. And
all kinds
say,
of shit.
Oh, I'm a descendant. I'm a descendant of Jesus, and I'd probably still take it with a grain of salt because. It just doesn't seem very viable.
And we've broken down things as just theories, and even just goofy shit, right? Like, we've never actually talked about it super seriously. It's not like I'm serious about this stuff. Maybe this guy will change my fucking mind because it's kind of fucking crazy. I was going to play an Xbox game. I wasn't sure which one yet. But the Xbox had an update. Now I'm just like, you know what? Fuck both of them. Anyway.
What Xbox do you have? Do you have the One X?
Anyway.
Still? Are you still running off of the One X?
So let's talk about this for a minute. And I'll pull up some stuff about him and all this other shit. Okay? We'll do that.
Can you not hear me?
We'll do all that.
Confused.
I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
No, I don't know why.
I'm getting green on
what the
my
fuck
thing.
happened? Nothing's different on my end.
I didn't change
Maybe it
anything
is. Hold on, give me
either.
1 second. Hold on. Try that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
The fuck is going? Did like something change here? You can hear me. Can you talk so I can know if you're talking?
Yeah, I mean I can hear you just fine, but for some reason only Restream is
Thumbs
picking
up means you
my-
can hear me, dumbass.
Yeah,
Why would you give me a thumbs
I
up?
can hear you just fine.
I can't hear you.
Exactly.
I don't know what that means. No, I don't know why. I can hear my desktop. I checked the volume. Oh.
But for some reason you can't hear me.
So I can't hear you. Well, we'll figure that out in a minute. Well, you'll figure that out in a minute. So, I'm going to be dead honest with you. This is kind of some sketchy shit, right? So I know some of this isn't natural as far as the things that are happening, and it doesn't necessarily mean it is natural, because the Bible, all the Bibles, all the Abrahamic religion scripts never really say anything about it being a natural cause. They just say it's what's going to happen. Now, I'm going to pull up that video of I was just watching about this guy. How long was it? I got to see, because I don't want a super long video. Because I went over this video and it ended up being a hour rant. Why is my Xbox, or is that your Xbox? That's your Xbox, I think. I think it has more to do with your audio than your, than anything else.
Check, check.
I'll check mine just in case. No, my audio output for mine is nothing. None. Zero. It switched to none. Why? I don't fucking know.
Mine did the same thing. And now I can't
Let
hear
me remember what that's
Okay.
called. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
That's input.
Can you hear me now?
Please say something.
I'm still talking.
Okay, that wasn't the correct thing. Alright. Or it's taking a minute
That
to
might
set up.
help. Mic check, check, check.
Oh shit! It's like mine's all. Why did the settings change? It's all over the fucking place.
Mine did too.
All my settings are fucked. All of them. What was I using for that? I know what it is. Okay.
Holy shit. Now I can't hear you at all.
What?
Okay, now I can hear you.
I was gonna say, what the fuck?
And apparently you can hear
Reshing's
me.
being stupid. Yeah.
No.
Apparently Reshing's just being retarded.
I also think it's because OBS was trying to use my microphone. And you know, fucking Windows, you can't use more than one thing at one time. God fucking forbid.
Oh. No, that's not Windows. That's OBS.
Well, whatever. Like, well, you can't use you can't use a camera source in two different places.
Yeah, I know. That's OBS.
And then
that's not Windows.
My Xbox was connected to OBS, and fucking, I just got your sign-in notification in my fucking ear holes at 100%.
How? My Xbox wasn't up.
That fucking hurt. I don't know if for some reason you just told me 1 minute ago that you were online.
A notification through your Xbox. Okay. I was like, what are you talking about? That makes sense. All right, let me find that.
So it tells me when you get online.
Here it is. Here it is, right here. Get it to. Okay. This is a Christian channel that popped up because I've been watching this stuff on this guy. So I'm sure it's one of the tags. This is a very interesting thing, right? Like,
why the fuck am I getting lagged like a motherfucker?
Everybody is. I think it's just that my computer's probably hating life because of heat. Your computer's probably hating life because of heat.
No, you.
It's the summertime, doesn't it?
You move your mouth long before I hear words.
There's a sound lag? That makes no sense.
Yeah,
usually sound comes through
an
first.
Audio lag like a motherfucker.
Why don't you drop? I'll drop out. You drop. Hold on.
Oh no!
I'll drop out.
It caught back up to itself. I don't know. Maybe it was just connection.
Okay. So we're gonna watch this really quick because.
Anyway, yeah, turn whatever it is on.
Because of interesting to me thingies, right? Why is it interesting to me? Because I'm a fucking weirdo and I like weird shit. So this is a Christian channel. Heads up, there's going to be a very heavy Christian views on this. Rustlin, AD, I guess that's how you say it. Shout out to him. We're using your stuff because even though I'm not Christian. Don't claim to be Christian. It's just, I've always been interested in this shit in general. And there's a lot of things lining up right now. We're going to watch this and we're going to talk about the implications of this and a few other things that are going on right now. And we'll pause it here and there. We're not trying to share content. We're actually trying to comment on your content about this same situation. You just broke it down really well, and I enjoy your videos on different God type stuff because you've talked about stuff that isn't necessarily related to God, but you put it in a Christian lens. So good on him. We'll just go from here.
Yes. Just that angle. There we go. Your stream is not getting audio.
It isn't? Oh, is it muted on my... okay. Never mind. That's why it got muted. Never mind. Okay, we'll start it over. Sorry about that.
Just had no idea.
Things are so fucked. Ever since Restream was like, fuck you, dude.
Oh,
You're not using any of your audio. We're resetting it right fucking now.
Well, they changed a whole bunch
No,
of
because
stuff because the homepage
no,
is
because
completely
before
different.
no, because this stream, right? This stream that I started before you got on, because it was already going when you got on.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but when
It was working fine. The little green arrow was doing its thing. Everything was going good. But anyways, let's just
and then all of a
start
sudden
this.
I signed on and they were like, "Let's change everything."
Well, I don't think it was you. I just think it just fucking took a shit. Anyways, let's go back to this. And this is really interesting to me again because it's interesting. Okay, so again, this guy's a Christian. I don't know if he's a pastor or anything. He is at least a Christian who talks about stuff through a Christian world lens. By the way, I also listen to Muslims. I also listen to Jews. I also listen to different variations of paganism. It's not like I'm listening to one source and just picking Christians because I happen to like their ideas better or anything. Just
the Antichrist situation just got worse. There's a man calling himself the Mahdi, claiming to be the Messiah for all Abrahamic religions, but now he's being labeled as the Antichrist. Others believe he is a CIA-backed psyop gone AWOL, propped up during the...
this is my only one problem so far. I haven't watched the whole thing. No, stop. No, stop. This is why I think this is the dumbest fucking comment he says in this whole entire video. For what reason does he not think the CIA would do this on purpose?
Oh, I'm saying I could see them doing that.
Yeah, but he said a CIA agent that went AWOL.
Oh no, I could see it just being a regular CIA agent.
Now that could also be true. But the dumbest thing he says in this entire thing is that. And it almost makes me think he's in the know about something.
Right.
The Arab Spring to destabilize the Middle East. Now he's claiming miracles.
I was in shock. I was in awe because how could the moon just disappear like that?
He says he's the successor of Jesus himself.
It's called a cloud. A dense cloud.
And the one true Pope. And even creepier, he claims him and his following are the real reason why the Pope died.
The earth swallowed the false Pope. He was killed by the mere breath of the believers chanting Labbaik ya Abul Sadiq.
In this video, we're going to break down who this man actually is, where these wild claims come from, and why Christians, Muslims, and conspiracy theorists are all watching him closely. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. So if you're new here, if you're not new here, you have to get a better
Go check out his
a little
stuff.
bit of Islamic eschatology. In Islamic eschatology, there is a prophesied end times figure believed to bring justice to the world and restore true faith before the final judgment. But this man, his name is Abdullah Hashim Abba El Sadiq. Gotta give me some props on the pronunciation of that. An Egyptian American who rose to prominence after the 2011 Arab Springs, claiming he is the Redeemer. He founded a fringe sect called the Ahmadi Religion of Peace and Light, declared himself as the second Mahdi, and in 2015, he raised what his followers called the Black Banner of the East, a reference.
Okay, so I have a slight issue with this. Even through Muslim scripture, the fact that it's called a French sect kind of makes me think someone didn't do their homework. Right? Because it's supposed to come from the East. France is not considered East in any aspect except for from the Western hemisphere of the planet. In the colloquial term, the West, when they talk about the West, it's Western Europe and everything that comes from Western Europe. So Australia, New
I
Zealand.
can't hear anything else. Hey, which one's him? You keep going. Continue.
You're talking about everything from Western Europe. And you're also talking about things like Australia, New Zealand, the US, Canada, things of that nature. You're not really talking about the Western Hemisphere, and you're not really now when they talk about the East, definitely in this thing, they're talking about everything east of essentially Greece, right? Greece and Rome and all that, right? Maybe even east of Israel or Jerusalem, whatever. Why are
the
you
controversial Islamic prophecy that says black flags will rise from the east as a sign of the Mahdi's arrival. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Why are we talking about Islam? Well, because Islam thinks it is the continuation or the fulfillment of both the Jewish and the Christian faith. Even though their views of Jesus' identity as a part of the Godhead and the Trinity are false, even though their views of the scriptures being preserved within their own Islamic sources, and specifically the Quran, having the Islamic dilemma telling them to follow the people of the book, yet they add a bunch of stuff that the book was contaminated, that Jesus didn't really die on the cross. It was only made to appear he did. All of that connects us to their view of eschatology and the connection of this Mahdi figure or their Messiah, which ultimately they view as the Messiah for both the Jews and the Christians. So now that we've set the framework on who this guy is and why this matters, let's get into some of the wild claims that he's made recently, some miracles claimed by his followers, his denial of being the Antichrist, saying he never claimed to be the Messiah, the reason why he wears a beanie, and ultimately what the scriptures say about all of this. Okay, so in this first clip, this is him claiming that he is the successor of Muhammad, Jesus, Peter, and the one true Pope.
I am Abdullah, the successor of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, the successor of the Comforter Ahmed, the successor of Simon Peter, the successor of Muhammad, the successor of Jesus Christ. I am the true and legitimate Pope. I am the proof upon the Christians. I am the son of the Muslims through my father, and the son of the Christians and the Jews through my mother. I am the son of the East through my father, and the son of the West through my mother. I am like Zulkarnain, who with one horn in the East and one in the West, and I am the inheritor of all that lies between. I am more knowledgeable than any false pope, and I am appointed by name and the will of the prophets.
Now, it's important to note that him making the claim that he is the successor of Jesus, or that Peter was the successor of Jesus, is completely false. Our buddy Cameron at Caption Christianity rightfully pointed out that in the Catholic view, Peter is appointed something as the prime minister, in the same way that the prime minister of the UK is not the successor of the king, who was King Charles at the time, that he's there to simply rule and handle the governmental aspects. Now, that's, again, within Cameron's Catholic view of who Peter is and where the Pope derives from. But what makes it a little spooky is right after he made the claim that he is the one true Pope, the Pope actually passed away.
The earth swallowed the false Pope. He was killed by the mere breath of the believers chanting, Labbaik ya Abba Sadiq. And the throne of falsehood was shaken. This miracle is no less significant than the one which occurred at the hands of the believers with Joshua, the son of Nun, alayhi salam, when their mere presence around the walls of Jericho and the sounds of their horns caused the mighty walls to collapse.
And of course, because the Pope died, he claimed that it was because of him. It's reminiscent of Ryan Garcia saying, "How did I know this?" Maybe because the Pope was 88 years old and almost everyone in the Catholic world was expecting him to pass soon because of his old age. But he's really deluded when he is saying that his folks chanting this chant was similar to the Battle of Jericho in the Bible. Yes, he thinks him and his followers caused the Pope to die.
Okay, I have some things to cover here. First off, let's talk about this for a minute. The Pope dying. Okay, first off, this Pope wasn't Catholic by any means. I know Catholics. I grew up around Catholics. He was at best a shit Protestant. So, if you're gonna call it sex, different sects of Christianity, this Pope wasn't exactly a favorite. And actually, I don't know a single Catholic personally that enjoyed this Pope being Pope last month. He was progressive in a lot of ways and kind of crazy, and was blatantly breaking rules of the teachings of Jesus Christ. So that in itself is kind of thing. Also, the chance of people killing somebody, random ass people, I don't think that's happening. I don't know where Dustin went. That's okay. Probably pop back. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to sit here and think about that. Things would stop freezing. That would be awesome. Now my computer is in life right. I guess he dropped out and came back in. Are you gonna work or are you gonna be stupid? Oh, sorry about that. Whoa, it's coming. Okay. But the Pope dying is pretty interesting because of also just what's going on in the world outside of this guy. And we'll go over that later.
And be swallowed up, similar to how in the scriptures we see the Israelites win the Battle of Jericho, even though the Pope was already on his deathbed a couple months prior. Okay, so regardless of the coincidence of the Pope dying right after the time they made these claims, so in a moment, we'll look at what the scriptures say and his response to that. But first, let's look at some of these alleged miracles according to his followers.
We found the riser of the family of Muhammad, Abu Sadiq, and this is what we saw.
I saw actual angels fly across the skies to testify for him.
I saw prophetic dreams where he revealed secrets that later came true.
I witnessed and experienced his prophecy of my son's impossible birth coming true.
I witnessed him use me as a vessel to bring my dad back to life.
I saw him cure me of an illness that the doctors couldn't cure.
I saw him sustain countless people, like Jesus did, for many years.
I witnessed he made the moon disappear.
I saw him have power over the jinn like Sodom.
I witnessed him manifest a person out of nowhere.
Dude, you gotta
I
get
saw
off the
him
phone.
resurrect my wife from the dead.
I witnessed him cure me from my infertility. I saw him turn leaves into living animals. I saw him make every living minute of our lives with God a miracle.
Okay, so he made the moon disappear. He turned animals from leaves, and he rose somebody from the dead. So these are either crazy miracles or deceived people that are under some sort of hypnosis illusion, crisis actors, or what do the scriptures say? In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, it says, "Don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness is revealed." Now, scholars, theologians believe this man of lawlessness is the Antichrist. So because of these miracle claims, that has caused some hysteria online. I would say rightfully so when you consider what the scriptures say in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. It says, "Don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until the rebellion." What day is it talking about? It's talking about the end of days and the rebellion that occurs, and the man of lawlessness, or if we look at our Logos Bible software here under the tab, it says some manuscripts say sin, the man of lawlessness or the man of sin is revealed. These are all cross references towards the Antichrist coming, right? Revelations 13:5, the man doomed to destruction. He will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God. Now, this word God is a reference to 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 5. Here, it is interesting that Paul in 1 Corinthians is writing about their so-called pagan gods. Michael Heiser will call these like the Elohims, right? And so same reference here back to 2 Thessalonians 2:4, which where we were, whether in heaven or on earth, as indeed there are many gods, in quotations, or lords. But yet for us, there is but one God, the Father, from whom all things come and from whom we live, and there is but one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom all things came and through whom we live. Many would believe that this is talking about him trying to be the unifier of all the religions or all the gods. For us as Christians, we know there's only one God, Yahweh, and Jesus, who also is referred to as Yahweh, the Godhead that we as Christians hold to, right? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So this verse is referenced in the prophecy about the Antichrist, right? And the view that the Antichrist is going to try to bring together all gods, right? All the religions, or is worship, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. Now, he hasn't done that just yet. He's only called himself the messenger. And then Paul goes on to write in verse 5, don't you remember that when I was with you, I used to tell you these things? Now, if we scroll down to verse 9, it says, the coming of the lawless one will be in accordance with how Satan works. He will use all sorts of displays of powers through signs and wonders that serve the lie. In all the ways that wickedness deceives those who are perishing, they perish because they refuse to love the truth and be saved. Meaning that the people who are experiencing these miracles, in my opinion, would be the people who don't want to submit to Jesus and God revealed through the incarnation, which is Jesus, because they want something that's perhaps spiritual but not religious. Remember, this is kind of starting out as a sect challenging Islam, right? And so Islam is already a false religion. These people are coming out of Islam. He's claiming this universalist.
Okay, so this is why this guy follows this so much. He hasn't claimed to be a Messiah. He hasn't claimed to be God, right? So that is a big hindrance for him being the Antichrist. He's only claimed to be a messenger. But with that said, saying one thing and then believing another are two different things. So like, or this is just all fake and gay. What are the fucking three? The point is,
one of the five.
Dude, you sound like a fucking robot. No.
I'm also using the truck's microphone, and the connection is a data connection.
Then you're gonna have to wait. Stop talking, or I'm gonna mute you. So, pretty much what this is saying, from a Christian lens, he's not technically saying what Jesus said he would be saying. That doesn't mean he doesn't believe that he isn't God, right? Or Jesus. Because in the Christian faith, not all Christian sects, but the primary ones all believe in the Trinity, which is God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit all being one being. Jesus was just the physical form of God on earth when Jesus was here, especially after the resurrection. So there's some arguments within different sects saying Jesus wasn't God until the resurrection, things like that. Nothing too crazy to get worried about, because you don't have to believe this to follow it. It's just following it.
Fulfillment of all these religions, and that is what we're seeing displayed by the claims.
But yes, Jesus did say that he is one to claim all the religions be pulled together into one, essentially. That is one thing he is doing. So that's one sign that he is the Antichrist. Then again, people think Trump's the Antichrist. I don't fucking know. People think Obama's the Antichrist. Some people think pick world leader, right? Just pick a world leader. Someone thinks they're the Antichrist, so, or at least a Antichrist, because there's it's not necessarily that there's one person that is the Antichrist. Antichrist doesn't actually mean there's a person who says they're Jesus and they're not, right? In the Christian faith, Antichrist means just people of sin and liars who claim to be a prophet or a messenger for a prophet of some sort that doesn't exist in the Christian faith. Same goes with Muslims and Jews. They all call them something different. So they're obviously not called the Antichrist in this case, because Christ is Jesus.
Check this out. When we click this word signs and we hit the study bar, we go to the original language, we discover that the signs are miraculous. Okay, so the counterfeit Christ, the Antichrist, will have some miraculous signs that accompany him. And by the way, if you want to know which software I'm using, this is Logos Bible software. In the description of this video and in the pinned comment below, you can get yourself 60 free days when you use my devotional right on my phone. I don't just do it on the computer. Himself.
I am not the Antichrist, nor do I claim to be the Messiah. The only Messiah to ever come was Jesus, the son of Mary, alayhi salam. 2,000 years ago, he came and was God in creation.
So not only does he deny being the Antichrist, he pulls his very own version of, nah, who smelt it, dealt it.
So who fits this description of the Antichrist? People have long pondered the meanings of these characteristics, expecting an individual who is blind in one eye with the word kafir written on his forehead. But what if he is not a single individual? What if the Antichrist is many people? What if he is a spirit that possesses an entire nation? Description of this nation is that...
Hold on. I don't know if they go over this in the video, but if you look at this current setup of this room, as far as symbolism, right? You could in a way, you could say he does think he is God. Look how much higher he is than everybody else. Everybody else is sitting down in like chairs, or pews, something of that nature. And he is on a platformed I don't even know what you would call that, but it's a very high leveled. I mean, he's what, a third up the wall from where he's standing, roughly, of this building, of this room. He's him talking now. You could say it's not because it might be like an older building that had this put in a long time ago, blah blah blah. But it looks like no one chooses rooms on purpose or by accident. No one chooses how they stand, where they stand on purpose or by accident when they're publicly speaking. If you do, then you're either A, not a very good public speaker, or just don't care, right? And I think this is either, like I said, one of two things. It would be the Antichrist. He just faking it.
And it devours the whole earth, tramples it down and crushes it. So it must be a world power, perhaps the strongest the world has ever seen. Only one country comes to mind that fits that description of a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and extremely strong, and it had large iron teeth. This iron beast that tramples over the nations is none other than the United States of America.
For the record, he's...
Okay, that's insane. And the reason it's insane is because the reality is very simple. The U.S. isn't the only superpower that's existed, and there were superpowers that existed that fit the same description, specifically the British Empire. They used a lot of guns, used a lot of boats, they used a lot of everything. British guys, you gotta remember, the British Empire didn't fall until after World War I. Some people say World War II. Some people say the 90s. Things like that. But in my book, I would say after World War I. Really, say World War II. There's a real argument for World War I and World War II. But, yeah.
Denying being the Antichrist. And not only is he denying being the Antichrist, he's saying that the Antichrist isn't even a person, that the Antichrist is actually the entire United States, just the whole nation. Okay, so in a second, we're going to dive deeper into this topic of the Antichrist in the scriptures. But before we do that, we thought it'd be fun for the Mahdi to explain to us why he decides to wear the beanie. And it actually has something in common with our very own Zach Sparazzo, believe it or not.
I take the black hat as my crown. I take the beanie hat and I wear it proudly so because the this hat is a symbol of the working man. That's how it first was invented. It came as a way to keep the working man warm when he's outside and he's working all day to feed his family with minimum wage. People all around the world began to wear it, and it became a...
Okay, so if you notice, the other guy's wearing a black beanie too. I want to say he's a part of this sect of Islam or whatever the fuck you want to call this. As well. So the fact that I don't know if there's any actual interviews with this guy besides with people that he already like is either he's being followed by or people who believe him or any of that yet.
Symbol of the poor man, the working class man, and for that reason, because we have come to represent those people, the poor people and the working man, and not to come and sit on platforms and rise ourselves above the people. We take this as a symbol, as a headdress, as a reminder that God is above us, and as a way to humble us and make us one of the people.
It's funny because that is the exact same thing that Zach Sparazzo has been accused of in terms of wearing his signature denim and Dickie outfits to identify with the working man. What say you, Zach?
Shout out Jay Dyer.
Now, he says he wears the beanie to be more relatable to the working man. It's a symbol to connect to those who are in the struggle. But notice how he comes out when he is introduced in front of his...
Hold up. For that. Listen. Some people just wear the same clothes they've always worn. Right? A lot of people read into the things that people do, even when being public or even when being on podcasts and things. I'll tell you right now. You want to know what I've worn my whole entire life? I'll explain to you very simply. Some kind of jeans, Dickies included, painter's whites, t-shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, hoodies, flannels, baseball cap most of my life, and beanies during the winter. I did work construction for most of my life. I still do. It's more side work now than it is my primary thing. But it is using it as a symbol, using a beanie as a symbol for the working class is just kind of crazy. I'm sorry, most hipsters aren't in the working class. Most of them are trust fund kids who might work a working class job, but most of them don't. Most of them don't. So there's that.
Check this out.
They wear black beanies just like that.
Look at how highly elevated he has positioned himself over his audience. I mean, that is a massive stage with a massive podium.
I haven't even seen this part. I think I stopped right after the scripture thing when he was starting to explain his beanie thing. That's when I stopped before. So I pointed that out and he's pointing it out.
Definitely, I am projecting an arena or stadium level production. There's no reason that stage should be that high. This is intentional. People are looking up like this at him. Okay. Very common man, working struggle of him.
Yeah, I don't know how much the beanie is doing for him at that point. I don't know if that is the thing communicating that he's humble. Could that get any taller?
I don't think so. But I think he might as well just throw on one of them cool hoods, like Jedi Master hood.
Yeah.
Or even better, a Sith Lord hood.
That is what I thought it was originally, and I was very disappointed to find out that he's wearing the 2015 Zara starter.
All right. Also, he's also wearing what like cult leaders would wear. Like every cult leader wears the hipster clothes of the time. He's wearing all black, it looks like either a button-up coat / hoodie or zippered hoodie or one that's dual layered, things like that, and a beanie. He's wearing hipster clothes. Let's be honest. I mean, they already took Carhartt.
Now, Cameron from Capturing Christianity rightfully pointed out how absolutely ridiculous this notion that the beanie as a symbol for the working man is today in this modern age. Check this out.
Humility is obviously a virtue, and aligning oneself with the poor is an admirable sentiment. But we do need to slow down a bit. Okay, yes, the beanie has originally helped dock workers and fishermen stay warm in chilly European climates, but today it's just as commonly spotted on Silicon Valley CEOs, hip-hop stars, skaters, and let's be honest, trendy coffee shop hipsters ordering $7 oat milk lattes.
That was the worst picture of Tony Hawk I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. Can I get to that? All right, let's...
It's just as commonly spotted on Silicon Valley CEOs, hip-hop stars, skaters, and let's be...
Dude, that is the worst picture of Tony Hawk I've ever seen. Ever. I don't know if Dustin's coming back.
Trendy coffee shop hipsters ordering $7 oat milk lattes.
And now even TikTok has gotten in on the action of roasting this whole get up.
Anyone who mocks the beanie, don't ask. Don't ask at all. Seriously, don't ask. From time to time, I enjoy Taco Bell or Wendy's. My genetics are so gifted by Allah, I can eat junk food without getting diabetes or heart disease.
Now, what's awesome is that the scriptures actually lay out some very interesting points regarding the Antichrist. 2 John chapter 6 says, I say this because many deceivers who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh have gone out into the world. Any such person is the deceiver and the Antichrist. Okay, so the first thing that's interesting to note here is that John is saying that folks who do not acknowledge that Jesus Christ came in the flesh are deceiving people and the Antichrist. He's actually railing against a heresy here called Gnosticism, which did not believe that Jesus was fully God and fully man. They saw Jesus as more God and spirit than man. And so he's contending that people who minimize the incarnation, minimize that Jesus came in the flesh, that Yahweh comes in the flesh, are actually deceivers and the Antichrist. So it's interesting that in Islam, they actually get a lot of their views of Christ from Gnostic heresies. So even though the Quran says that they are to follow the people of the book, the Christians, their Christology is totally influenced by Gnostic heresy. And then their Christology in terms of Jesus being fully God is also distorted. And so they're minimizing him to just be a prophet or a messenger instead of seeing him as fully God and fully divine. It's like two heresies in one. Now, if we go back a few chapters in 1 John chapter 2, verse 18, there's a very interesting revelation here. It says, Dear children, this is the last hour, and as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming. Even now, many antichrists have come. So even while John is writing this, almost 2,000 years ago, there are already antichrists on the scene. So there is a main antichrist that's going to come. That'll be the one that deceives the world and be charismatic and bring together all the followers of the different gods. That there are already antichrists that
Hold on one second.
have come. This is how we know it is the last hour, right? So what is he getting at? That there is not just one antichrist, that there will be antichrists that also appear. So throughout history, I believe there's all sorts of antichrists that have came on the scene. I think someone like the Mustache Man, okay, responsible for World War II, is an antichrist. He's not the antichrist, but he is a antichrist. So how do we know what antichrists are? Now, we know that the Antichrist himself will have false miracles. He'll be someone that brings people together per the book of Revelation.
Okay. This whole idea, I mean, yeah, that's how it works. But at the same time, I don't know if Hitler would be considered an Antichrist because he wasn't trying to join... Well, at least at first, he wasn't trying to join Europe into one thing. And, yeah, that's a whole thing. That's a whole rabbit hole we can go down to. Yeah, down later. But He might have been
But
a
how do we know
Antichrist,
who
but I
the
don't think
Antichrists
I don't
are?
personally
Well,
think it was.
in 1 John chapter 4, just a few chapters over,
I don't think any
he reveals it to us.
world
He shows
leaders,
us
good or
how
bad,
we can
or-
know. It says, 1 John chapter 4, verse 2, it says, this is how you can recognize the Spirit of God. Every spirit that acknowledges that
At least to
Jesus
my
Christ
knowledge.
has come in the flesh is from God. But every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming and even now is already in the world. So what John is saying here is we can recognize who the Antichrist is based on what he is teaching about Jesus. If Jesus is not being recognized and rightfully positioned as fully God and fully man, that is an Antichrist teaching, which really makes the entire spectrum of Antichrist much bigger and much broader than any of us could have ever imagined. So, in a sense, he is an Antichrist, but is he the Antichrist? I don't know. I think he needs to be way more charismatic and have substantially more influence, impact, and unity in terms of bringing people
I don't know
of
about
different
that.
faiths together before anyone can declare him as the Antichrist. Kind of like a pseudo-religious Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson meets Dave Chappelle. Everyone loves him. He's fun. He's bringing everybody together. He's in shape. He's charismatic. He has a great smile. The Mahdi, So in my opinion, he's an Antichrist, but not the Antichrist. But what I think is, more likely, he's probably some sort of CIA psyop meant to distract people and cause hysteria, or specifically cause hysteria amongst the Muslim Arab community. And if you want to see other shenanigans that the CIA has been up to with regards to the spiritual realm, check this video out over here. And if you want to get a free 60-day trial of the Bible software I use, check out Logos Bible software.
All right, so the reason why I bring this up is pretty simple. If you don't know, there's prophecies inside the Bible that talk about the Euphrates drying up. I don't know if you know this, but in recent times, let me type in drying up. In recent times, blah, 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 the Euphrates River is drying up. Now, they never said in the Bible if it was going to be a man-made issue or a natural issue. Right now, the Euphrates is drying up because of a dam, I think, in Turkey, if I remember correctly. And they're not letting as much water go through as they used to because there was a drought in Turkey. And that might have changed. That wouldn't be surprising. It's just Scab that didn't even know was there. Thank you, Scab. But with that said, if you read upon the Bible, when you hear about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, things like that, it's not actually 4 horsemen, it's 4 of the fallen angels that fell with the angel Lucifer, who are locked away in the Euphrates River, and for them to get out, it will have to dry up. That's the way it works. He needs to get the fuck off his phone because apparently it keeps dropping call for some reason, and that's kind of crazy.
No, it's because I keep hitting the wrong button.
Anyways, so these 2 things plus this thing plus this guy popping up. Good picture of him in the video here. Just him. Plus this guy popping up, right? Is kind of substantial. Also, there's a time of conflict near the region. In the Middle East, there is the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian war for land rights, and you also have just north of that the Ukraine and Russia war. And And in the Bible, it will be during a time of war, a time of anarchy, a time of lawlessness, which is war. War doesn't have laws. Like they say war has laws, it does not. They punish people for certain acts during war, but the reality is when you're in a war, there are no laws. You might be punished later for the said laws being broken, but you're not getting punished anytime soon unless the war ends and your side loses. Usually how it works. Doesn't matter what war you're talking about. Nuremberg only existed because the Nazis lost. And the treaties after World War II were the way they were because Germany lost. So they were punished via war crimes and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, World War One just ended up being a bunch of Germans. They're not Nazis, by the way. Anyone who people think that for some reason, but they were not. The biggest complaints out of World War One were triangle bayonets and shotguns, or what they called trench guns, which were slightly sawed-off shotguns. Not completely sawed off, just slightly. And the Germans cried about it after getting shot with shotguns. I didn't know that was a thing because blunderbuss had existed inside of war for a very long time. Was it a primary weapon? No. When you're playing when you're doing trench warfare, shotguns make sense. Just like kicking in a door with a shotgun makes sense. Especially an automatic shotgun. Or semi-automatic shotgun. Or an automatic shotgun, for that matter. These two things happening around the same time is kind of crazy to me. Now, I'm not saying it's the end of days. I'm not saying the Bible's right. I'm not saying any of that. It's just kind of crazy to me that we have what could be a false prophet or a false Messiah or a false God or a false messenger claiming to want to unite the three Abrahamic religions around the time of a few things that are going on. One is building the third temple in I forget which city, but in Israel. I think it's in Jerusalem, if I remember correctly, which the Israelis are trying to do. Also, yeah, it just seems like a lot of things are lining up, and it's kind of crazy. I'm not sure if it's what's going to happen. I'm not saying it's the end of days, but if you believe in religion, you believe your religion, I'd start praying. If you do believe it is the end of days, because if it is, well, good luck. I mean, just those two things is kind of crazy to me. This whole thing's kind of crazy to me. I think it's a CIA op, if you want my honest opinion. It's a CIA op to disgruntle the Muslims in the region and to start more interconflict within the region. If you want my honest opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why he says the U.S. is the Antichrist, because he's trying to attract Muslims and Arabs from that region, which the U.S. has been a major problem for them for the past, I'd say, 50 years. Because you guys think it just happened during 9/11, but you're forgetting Iran-Contra and all that stuff, us helping the Taliban during when they were warring with the USSR, things like that we did. We helped them, and they became our enemies later on. If you want to know who the U.S.'s enemies, like declared enemies, are going to be, look at who we're helping right now inside of conflict. That's how you know who the next enemy for the United States is. They do this on purpose because they use them because the CIA and the U.S. government sees the people there as tools and not to help with the U.S. government to help with their agenda. So, I mean, what do you think, Dustin, if you're even there? If he's there.
Sorry, I was trying to hook up the one of the Xboxes.
Okay.
But and there's a fair amount of noise, so I'm not trying to. But yeah, no, that shit is nuts. I mean, I missed bits and pieces here and there, but
well, most of it.
Yeah,
To be
and
fair,
I'm gonna agree. If you believe it's the end of days, you should start praying.
Yeah. I don't think it is. Like I said, I think it's a CIA app. That's all I think it is.
Yeah, I don't
more
even think
conflict.
I don't think it's a rogue agent. I think it's just
a CIA app. Yeah. But there's tons of CIA ops. There's tons of ops in America that America's putting out in general. Hey, mute up real quick. A lot of the CIA ops that exist, you guys will probably see. Normally, Ukraine is a CIA op. The entirety of that is a CIA op. The current war, the war before that, with the Russia and all that, where they lost land, all that stuff is part of a CIA op to be in a proxy war with Russia. We have never left the Cold War. We just defeated the USSR, which then turned into modern day
now
Russia.
we got to deal with Russia.
And none of that is good for. Personally, I don't think any of it is good for Americans or the American government to be involved at all. If you want my honest opinion, I don't really care about other countries at all. If they want to do trade with us, cool. Other than that, fuck them. You can say geopolitics is important, but at the same time, every time America gets into geopolitics, it just kind of fucks Americans from the start. We can go all the way back to World War One. Looking at this, the U.S. created the Nazi uprising. Technically created two uprisings in Germany, the Nazi uprising and the Communist uprising in Weimar Germany, because of the treaties that we signed with Germany, and we Americans were the primary authors of those treaties. So, which turned into World War II. Japan attacked us because they became allies with Germany. Russia was also allies with Germany up until Germany attacked Russia, or the USSR at the time under Stalin. I don't think we won either world wars or were a part of the winning team because of what happened. We did not win. We lost. We have lost at least in my opinion, we won the actual physical war. We did not win the idea war. After that, we got ransacked by communists inside of the country. The McCarthy error, what they call the McCarthy or McCarthyism. McCarthy was right. Sorry. You can argue to the death about that he wasn't, but he was. There was communists working within government or tangentially with government. Yeah, Hollywood, think tanks, people who were hired on to left-leaning individuals of the time, to their teams, and things like that. So, and to be honest, they've had a capture on the education system since forever, really, since for a long time. And yeah, that's what I mean by we didn't win. General Patton was correct. We should have kept going, and we should have not have ever allied ourselves with Russia. Russia wanted to fight with Germany on their own front. That's fine. We should have took advantage of that. Is what we should have did. And instead of taking advantage of that, we sided with them and lost a lot of our own soldiers in the process, a lot of our own Americans in the process, and that's just my take on that whole entire spiel. Then we got Vietnam, Korea, all that stuff, stopping the spread of communism, which we probably shouldn't have done. Which is weird because at the time we weren't really getting anything from Vietnam or Korea. The only reason we helped the Koreans is because we helped them during World War II. Japan was very evil to Korea and China. And at the end of World War II, China got taken over by the communists. And America didn't do anything to stop it then. They decided to try to stop it in other countries in the 50s, in the 60s, and the 70s, which makes no sense to me. I think it's more of a. I think that was more of a. It was more of a military-industrial complex setup than it was a actual trying to stop things from happening. If we wanted to stop at the time, if we wanted to stop Vietnam and Korea from being communist, it would have been very easy for us. We didn't because because Americans at heart are isolationist to a point. Trade's fine, but as far as us helping in wars is insanity. There was movements in World War I, World War II. That's Vietnam, Korea, every war we've ever had. Anti-war movements. It's anti-war for us to help other people, especially in World War I. And a lot of the false flag events that started all that stuff is prevalent, especially with Vietnam and Korea. So when I say false flag events, I don't mean it was set up distinctly by America and done by America. In other words, it was just like, oh, let people do what they want and then use it as fodder to get into a war. Not necessarily set up by anyone. Some things, though, I do think they were set up. Really, what we should have been doing, the only spread of communism we should have been worrying about is Venezuela and Cuba, because Cuba's like, see it from Florida. And Venezuela, because we're just on that hemisphere. So, like Zelensky said, you have a big ocean in between y'all. Yep. And we want to keep it that way. So, I think it's a CIA out to disgruntle Muslims and Christians and Jews in the Middle East, and that's all it is. But it does have a lot of signs of end of days. Both from the Christian aspect and the Jewish aspect and the Muslim aspect. So from the three Abrahamic religions, so maybe it is. There's a lot of aspects going around that region that can point to the end of days, right? Maybe not though. I mean, that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff I'm into. Like, I mean. And not in the sense of like, I'm religious and believe this stuff. It's that even if you don't believe this stuff, you can at least believe in it as mythology. Right? And I'm into mythology in general. Greek mythology, Roman mythology, kind of the same. A little different though. Mythology of the Aztecs, Incas, all that stuff. And I was into it way before like popular references today, like one being Ancient Aliens, even though I do watch that show from time to time. That isn't why I got into it. I got into it way before that. So. My allergies are kicking. Please rain so it stops kicking. But yeah, this guy
It rained
is.
for like 2 minutes up here, and it was just sprinkling. Didn't do shit.
Well, it's supposed to rain all weekend, so this whole thing is kind of interesting to me, and it kind of sketches me out, and not just for the biblical aspect, but for what it could cause in the region. And I don't want America to go to war. I don't want to help other countries in war or go to war. I don't really like being the world police, but I get why it's there. Like the waterways of different things, including pirates, terrorist attacks, nations bombing our own boats, civilian boats, and commercial boats, and things like that. But you can do that without helping somebody else in a war.
I don't know. Some people don't need to see this video just for the simple fact that at the beginning he was talking about the Antichrist. And a lot of people are starting to believe that Trump is the goddamn Antichrist, and they're going to fucking take this and run.
Yeah, well, every president in my lifetime has been called the Antichrist. So,
I swear to God, it's so true.
Bush Jr. or Bush 2. It's not Jr. because they have different middle names. Bill Clinton, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump again. I don't think any world leader is the Antichrist, and even calling them an Antichrist, because there is a difference, is a bit of a stretch, even ones that were bad, because the ones that weren't bad weren't trying to make the goals of what the or an Antichrist would be doing, unless you're just saying one of those things can be classified as one of the goals, and that is what causes an Antichrist. That's kind of a stretch too, because in that sense, every world leader is then an Antichrist, because whether it be in a liberal democracy, a socialist country, a communist country, a fascist country, none of them really used God so much, especially from 1900 on. That's why when people are like Hitler was an Antichrist, I don't really believe that. He was Hitler and Mussolini and Pol Pot and Stalin and all those guys were more closer to the evolutionary standpoint than any other government. Even today, they don't believe in. A lot of them are secular governments, and to say, even though they may have used Christianity or other religions as a way to push their agenda, to get people to pay attention. Even Hitler didn't go as far as saying Jesus would want us to kill the Jews and things like that, or do this or that. He called upon Christians to help him, essentially. And, well, some did. People think everybody in Germany was bad because Nazis, but a lot of if that's the case, and everyone in America's bad because of all the proxy wars with Russia and other countries throughout the years. Most people in America don't even want us to be in proxy wars. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, the majority of Americans aren't anti-war. They're anti-helping everybody else in war. By that I mean is that, especially after the two world wars, What I mean by that is we're only really for wars if we have to defend ourselves. America's a pretty peaceful place in general. I know there's a lot of hype on shootings and violence here in America, but there's a lot of hype on violence everywhere else too. So a lot of the violence in America, in my opinion, is caused by what we call psychology, and it's not a science. It's fake and not real. But we think it's real. People think it's real, and 9 times out of 10, you don't need to put people on medicine. There are disorders that make you crazy. I'm not saying there isn't, but we used to have places for them, and they were called, we used to call them crazy homes. We used to call them crazy houses. We used to call them a crazy hospital. We used to call them mental facilities, mental hospitals, like that. But we don't do that anymore, which is insane to me. It's also why you see a lot of homeless. A lot of homeless aren't drug addicts. A lot of them are actually just mentally ill people who don't know what the fuck to do with themselves. So there's a lot of drug addicts. There's a lot of people who are down their luck too. I'm not saying there isn't, but the vast majority of people who are homeless aren't homeless because they're down on their luck. They're not homeless because they're drug addicts. I've seen plenty of drug addicts live a life. Well, what would be normal besides the drug addiction? But I'm talking about heroin addicts too. I'm not just talking about like weed or coke or meth and stuff like that. Talking about all of it. Heroin, crack, meth, all that stuff. I've seen people who use it recreationally and their lives are pretty normal minus the drug abuse. Alcoholism's the same way. It's no different. So, hell, eating's the same way. You can eat yourself out of house and home. It's possible. Highly unlikely, but it's possible. And yes, eating is eating a lot is a disorder. It is a mental disorder where you're eating so much that you weigh as much as a house. There's a difference between fat people and obese people, and I think the version of obese we hear all the time isn't really obese, because by that metric, people who are really in shape are also obese. But the reality is that there's a lot of problems in the U.S., and is it the Antichrist? No. If you want to say liberal democracy is an Antichrist, sure, I'll go with that. But which makes sense, because a lot of liberal democracies are by definition Antichrist-like, but not the same. They're not claiming to be a messiah or a messenger or a god. They have turned into a god for atheism. Governments have turned into God for atheists. Like I said, I call myself a non-believer and not an atheist, because atheism, at least in the U.S., I don't know about everywhere else in the world, but at least in the U.S. since the late 90s has been nothing but a hate group for people who don't like Christian. That's all it's ever been for me. My life, so... And I will not claim the name atheist because of that. Anyways, I mean, there's lots of shit we can talk about. I see shit all the time, especially with the supernatural kind of stuff or the mythology kind of stuff. Because people tend to forget, like, people forget what things are, right? Like, and they frown upon it. And this is one reason why I can't stand atheists. This is another reason I can't stand atheists and like this. Look, man, there's this thing that we used to have in America, in every part of the region, and a lot of parts of the world still believe this kind of stuff. I'm not saying you have to believe it, but it's called fucking folklore. That's what it's called. It's not some mental illness to sit there and think skinwalkers exist, okay? It's no different than believing God exists. It's no different than believing several gods exist. It's no difference in believing parallel universes. We can't prove parallel universes. They say we can, but we can't. We can't even prove how the human brain works. Like, we know how it works or how it responds to things. We don't actually know how it fucking works. We can kind of get some rudimentary stuff in it. There's a low electrical field that runs through our brain. That's what we know about it. We know that we can alter the brain state with different chemicals and how that works. But we don't actually know how the brain itself functions, besides of how it's affected by other things. Like, we don't know really anything about it. We don't know, which is like, it's a lot of things. Like, we don't actually know 99% of history is this way, right? Like, of world history, the Earth's history is this way. We don't even know if a comet hit the planet and killed the dinosaurs. Good guess. There's several theories for that. We don't even really know how the evolution of humans happened, because at this point, the out of Africa evolutionary theory is pretty much dead. Just proven by the fact of DNA testing and matching whites, or what would be considered whites back in Roman times, which are the people north of the Alps. So northern Germany, the Baltics, Russia, Britain, northern France, northern Belgium, northern Spain, maybe what today is Portugal, but I don't know when Portugal became a country. The Nordic region. The Nords, essentially. That's what they call the Nords, or the Gauls. The Romans called them the Gauls. That's what a white person is. It's what would be Italians, Greeks, Southern Europe, Mediterranean Europe. Didn't really consider themselves to be white. They consider themselves to be a different race. And we keep finding things that tell us, apparently, that most humans aren't the same. The races aren't the same. And I'm not sitting there saying that they're any worse or better, but they're not the same people, and they don't come from the same region, and they're not, they may not even be the same species. So we don't even really know that, because we already know that whites come from a different hominid than Africans did. We already know that just by the fact that we come from Neanderthals. That's where whites come from, Neanderthals. The red hair, the blonde hair, the white skin, all our DNA has Neanderthal. My DNA, especially my DNA, has very strong Neanderthal presence because I have red hair. I am most of my family is from the white regions, and my German side is from northern Germany. Apparently we have Italian in there somewhere. Makes sense with my dad and my brother's hair colors. I mean, it isn't rocket science. But yeah, like white people, it seems like we might be part Homo sapien. Not saying we aren't, but it seems like we've phonetically come from a different subspecies of human. And this all wraps up into this whole entire thing, because race is an issue again. Lineage is an issue again, which it should be. Lineage and blood blood relation should always have been an issue. That's one of the problems that I've always had with the American thought process. And this is why I can't stand certain things like taxing inheritance, things like that. Your lineage and your dynasty are very important. And it should always be, especially if you're a guy. So you do what you can while you can, and then you teach your kids to do better than you, especially the males, in my opinion. I have a feeling in the next couple decades, we're going to have not a fun time around here in America. Or the West as a whole. I think the West as a whole is collapsing. No, Trump isn't causing it. He's trying to slow it down from what I can gather, or at least make it not as bad, but I don't think that's going to change. I think it's just going to get worse and worse until things. So there's a lot of violence. Say that. I think it'll be drawn more on ideology lines, more so than race, at least in America, more so than race and religion. Religion might be thrown in there as well, which, because that's an ideology, people forget. But I think it's going to be more of I think there's going to be three factions. There's going to be the liberals, conservatives, or the right, and then the left, the extreme left. And the reason why I say the extreme left are progressives and above on the left. The reason why I say that is because liberals are left-leaning. They're not the center. Anyone claiming that is a liar. Liberals have always sided with the communists, the socialists, the progressive. At least for the past 100 years they have, and they always will. The founding fathers today would roll in their grave if they listened to the liberals of today. And I don't mean the crazy leftists, I mean the classical liberals of today. They would be rolling in their graves and probably wanting to kill them to stop their ideology from being spread in the I'm not saying the founding fathers were conservative by any metric or anything like that, but they were actually what you would call, a lot of them were actually classical liberals, but classical liberals have taken over the same stances as the left over the past 100 years, because for the past 100 years, classical liberals and progressives have worked together and fucked over not only our country, but the entire West as a whole. Through laws that they wanted into place. That's where I think everything's really going. I think if any president from now until maybe 50, 60 years from now, unless we're getting attacked by outsiders, decides to go to war, is a moron and will cause a civil conflict inside of America, whether it's a large war or a small war. Because I think with the way things are going, we're going to be running out of people here soon. Populations ebb and flow. I'm not saying that they're going to, the human race is going to die out or anything, or a specific race is going to die out or anything. What I'm saying is that it's really hard for me to envision a future of a future America where all 50 states are together without some kind of authoritarian presence getting into power and doing the same thing Lincoln did to the South. Lincoln was only a good guy because he freed slaves. He was not a good guy because of the war. Burning Kansas was the start. The burning of Kansas, though. I mean, but other than that, as far as everything goes, Dustin's got a ceiling, it looks like. Things are getting pretty heated. And this happens every so often. This isn't abnormal for the human race. I mean...
My bad, I was putting these LEDs up. Right. Oh, I said good.
Okay. I don't even know what you get.
Some of these are fun.
But
I can still hear everything.
I know.
I just let you rant.
It's because you have a lot of background noise, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I also let you rant because you were on a fucking roll, and I wasn't trying to fucking.
It's because it's true. I don't see a future of America where either the 50 states stay together without having an authoritarian president similar to Lincoln and or FDR and or any of that. We're finding stuff as science gets better. Look, science is a good thing. I'm not saying science is bad. I just don't believe certain sciences, or what we call sciences, are sciences because they're not. I don't believe in soft sciences. Even medicine, which is a soft science, and they even tell you, a doctor will tell you, there's a reason why we call it practicing. Any doctor worth their salt will tell you that. We don't. My brother, all the doctors my brother dealt with during his car accident, they all said the same thing. They've all said this since I've existed on this planet. Any doctor that says the science is settled, especially in the medical field, is just wrong. Because it ain't settled. Science is technically never settled, even when it becomes a theorem, or a theorem moves from a theory to a theorem. There's a reason why it's not like a law.
Oh, for real? No, she said she. I played it push to talk.
Hey, mute your mic. You're just like talking random shit, and I hear background.
I'm trying to play push to talk.
Well, it's not working very well. Keep hearing background noise like when you're not talking.
Oh, because you probably hear that before I start talking.
No, you won't even say anything, and I hear it. Anyways.
I guess it probably takes a sec. It probably takes a second to send the signal to my headset, because that's the microphone it's using.
But we also have a lot of things going on. There's a theory right now that a lot of the stuff based around climate change is just sun cycles. It has nothing to do with the actual climate being changed by anything on Earth. The poles are shifting. We know we've had a very large shift before, but like a 90-degree shift, not a 180. They're saying there might be another 90-degree shift here within the next couple hundred years. That's why the weather's crazy. Starting to get up to that. There's also this thing. There's also ideas of this micronova thing, which could be a issue for. It's a theory. It's not a very strong one, but there is a theory that the sun goes through phases of where it micronovas because trying to get rid of bullshit within itself. Once the sun starts taking in stuff, like if it meteors and stuff that fly by it or whatever, space dust, it starts slowing down. So what it does is it has a micronova inside itself to expel bullshit that it doesn't want out of itself to keep running. So essentially, and then they're saying this might have happened with Antarctica, and it kind of liquefied a layer of the crust underneath the primary layer, and that's why the continental drift isn't necessarily the only way or reason that the continents are where they are now, versus the Pangea theory, which is still a theory. I mean, it makes sense. We don't actually know. I mean, the closest thing we have to proving that is the Appalachian Mountains here in America. They go all the way up to Greenland, and from what a lot of people have said is that even some of the mountains in Portugal and Britain and Iceland and even in Africa were connected to the Appalachian Mountains. That's the only real, and the shapes. That's the only real proof we have that continental drift exists in the sense of what they're talking about. That and the crustal layers overlapping and shit. There is continental drift. There's no doubt about that. They don't really know. It's like everything else. They don't really know anything that was anything that we don't have written down from the past. They don't actually. So, and even then, they're conflicted on that too. So, dude, we're conflicted on history of just the past 100 years. I don't think people understand this. I literally sat down and broke down why certain people do the things that they do, and as far as political parties go, and people do not agree with me. What actually happened within the 20th century is that around 1900, not sure what year, be a little bit afterwards, liberals and progressives decided to team up and go after the what you would call the conservatives, the people who don't want anything to change. That's what happened, and ever since then, America has had a rise to a point and then a very big fall. And I think the Great Depression was the Kickstarter for that rise. Because if they didn't rise into the Great Depression, then no one would have listened to liberal or left progressive ideas ever the fall. And that's why I think FDR went into World War II. Or was talking about going into World War II before Japan attacked. I know why we went into World War II, and I think going into World War I was the liberal and progressive world order. Getting to that, because people think that World War I was similar to World War II, and it was nothing the same. We actually created Hitler out of that, so congratulations, America, you did a great job. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find something else on really anything. Anything, Nelson?
Put in there. Shit's wild nowadays. I was gonna get this. I can't even fucking. I don't even want to comment on it. It's so wild.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're going through a phase, at least geologically, and I don't know what you would not astrology, but I don't know what you would call the sign, astrologist.
Astrologically.
Yeah, astrologically, we're going through
I'm sorry, can I get that?
a huge issue with the magnetosphere. It's weakening in spots. The sun's blasting it like crazy. That's why they think the pole's going to shift pretty big here the next couple hundred years. Or next couple decades. It's not even 100 years. That's why we saw, if you guys were able to see it, I was not, because of the the weather at the time. But if you guys last year remember, we were supposed to be able to see the aurora borealis, and where I live, we should have seen it. The reason we didn't was because of the weather. We wouldn't have been able to, like, people were seeing it in Texas, right? Like, they could see it off in the distance. We would have seen it above us. And we didn't because of the weather. And it wasn't going to be super strong. You would have just saw little rifts of color in it. So, in the sky at night. So, keep that in mind, please. And nobody really funds or studies the how the sun, solar flares or bombardments affect the weather in America and on the Earth, and that's why everybody thinks climate change is fucking man-made. The man-made climate change thing doesn't account for 99% of the global weather shifts and global ups and downs since the last ice age. So we had the little ice age. We had the year the sun took out telegraph lines in the 1800s. I forget what year that was. We had a really cold period during the Revolutionary War, had a really warm period during the Civil War. We had a very cold period during the 50s, 60s, 70s, 40s. Or late 40s, we had a really warm period during the Dust Bowl. I mean, none of it actually accounts for. You're not going to sit there and tell me that people from Roman times caused the Little Ice Age. You're not going to sit there and tell me that. Sorry, you're just not. And then caused things like the plague because there wasn't food, so people didn't have immune systems, and it's all just a cascading effect. That's why people think the butterfly effect is real, because things just cascade because things affect other things. So I guess technically it's real, but it's not, because the butterfly effect is doesn't make sense onto cascading effects isn't the butterfly effects. People think it is. If you blow up a nuke, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna have a cascading effect. Like, it's creepy. I'm trying to find something that's interesting to watch.
Fuck Microsoft right now. I'm pissed at them.
Why?
I just found out they have an app for Windows where you can remote play your Series S, or X. And that may or may not be easier than trying to use the capture card that keeps freezing. It costs $5. It costs $5 for the app now.
No.
For the Series X and S one, it costs $5. You can still get the Xbox One but the one that worked is compatible with the Series S or X is $5. Although I could probably find it if I was being a pirate. Just saying, if I wanted to be a pirate, I could be a pirate. But honestly, I already have the capture card, so there's no reason for me to be a pirate, and there's no reason for me to get this app.
Check this shit out.
It's on another different one.
What do we got?
All right, that background needs to cut it the fuck out. This gentleman is camping in the woods.
You said this dude was camping in the woods?
Yeah, but they never played the sound.
Oh.
That this thing apparently made. That's
Oh, okay. So they were camping in the woods. They heard something, and then that video was when they started to investigate whatever they heard.
No. It's worse than that. They had more video, but the fucking asshole who put it up has to narrate things for some fucking reason instead of saying they heard a weird noise. They went to go check it out. Watch this. And instead of showing that thing happening.
Oh, he's being fucking Mr. Narrator the whole fucking time.
Yeah, like how the fuck, what noise? It looked like, to me, that's a fucking fox. That's what that is. The eyes were close enough together. It was pretty low to the ground. That's a fucking, to me, that's just a fox. Can I hear the fucking noise so I can know what the fucking noise was? I mean, there's all kinds of shit. Actually, yeah, you should not go hiking alone at night. Don't do that. Unless you're me and just stupid. Because I don't give a shit. But most people should not hike alone. You shouldn't do anything in the woods by yourself. Unless you're me and just stupid. Really. Be honest. Second. Especially things like mountain biking. You definitely shouldn't do that alone. like, you know how many times I could have died? And I didn't even really get hurt, but you know how many times I could have fucked myself over? And died in the woods because I wanted to ride alone. And I mean, granted, now we have phones and shit, but that's AI bullshit, probably. Forbidden philosophy. I don't know of any forbidden philosophy. You? Justin? I don't actually. Well, might be. It looks like it's frozen.
To be fair, if they're forbidden, I would assume not a lot of people know about them. So why would we know about them?
Well, I mean, there's forbidden philosophies, but they're not really forbidden. They never really were. They're just frowned upon and kind of like shouldn't do that. More so than like forbidden. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about a forbidden philosophy, how about just Nazi ideology? That's a philosophy. You probably shouldn't kill people just because they're Jewish or a different race. Especially whole groups of people.
I had to close all my tabs. I was probably using like a gig of RAM.
Okay. I do want to get into some of these lost cities. And places. Oh yeah, look at some. I'm not watching an 8-hour documentary because 12 o'clock and get off at something. Vlad the Impaler. Great guy, great guy. They'll say he was bad. Don't watch this. Why? That's a fake image. Unless something. I don't watch at night. Dude, I watch some fucked up shit at night, okay? Sure as hell is encrypted shit. Oh, the Appalachian Triangle, yeah. That's not news. If you grew up in the Appalachians, there's lots of things you know that you know not to do, and know where not to go, and know what not to deal with. I luckily did.
Fucking console. Honestly, most of the time, if you trust your gut, and if you're in one of those situations, and you just trust your gut and get the fuck out of there, you'll be fine.
Yeah, well, some of them aren't. You can't get the fuck out of there because you live at that house.
I'm still waiting.
I mean, yeah, but it's also like, well, what I really mean is like, in any given situation, your first instinct is probably going to be your best bet.
They even announced that it was coming.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm excited.
But let me explain this to you, okay? I have had Appalachian quote-unquote horror stories, right? They're not really horror stories, but they are. So they consider them. They are scary stories. I will say that. All right. So let's start with the first one that's happened multiple times in my life. And I have witnessed, well, I know witnesses that could back me up on. One day, me and my friends decided to go mountain biking. I was in middle school. And we were out in the mountains doing our normal thing. We've done this a million times. It's not new to us. Never had any weird shit pop up or anything strange happen. Really. But besides, you know, stupid fucking mechanicals like flats, people breaking their derailleurs, shit like that, right? So there's two things I will tell you not to fucking do in the Appalachians if you are visiting or just genuinely like staying, especially the night there. One, do not go out past 12. not worth your time. You're gonna get hurt. I don't know what it is that will get you hurt, but you will get hurt. I don't know why. There's tons of cryptids. May have seen one as an adult. Not sure what the fuck it was. Don't really care. Didn't pay attention to it. Left. But the two main stories I have to tell you, and this is why I have to tell you this, is because this is linked to other things that we don't know what the fuck it is. One, there's several times in my life, and I have at least two that I can find people to back me up on this, because they heard it too. We were out mountain biking one day, and the first time, we were out mountain biking one day, and we heard a female voice call me that sounded like no female none of us have ever heard of. Never heard the voice of a day in our fucking lives. There's a rule in the Appalachians that you do not answer that fucking name call. You do not. If you hear a voice that you don't know calling you, doesn't matter if it's male or female.
Or even if you do know, however, the owner of the voice is not in your vicinity or is in your vicinity and not speaking. Like, it doesn't have to be a voice that you don't know.
No. Okay, first off, it's usually a voice you don't know. Okay,
Yes, but I've heard a lot. Increasingly, recently, it's been their own voice back to them.
You don't really know your own voice, though. If you've never listened to recordings of your own voice, you don't know your own. You don't. Like, it sounds completely different than it does when it's. And recordings have artifacting, so that's not even really the natural sound. I've had that happen a few times. Twice I have. One was mountain biking, one was hiking, and one was by myself hiking. I have two incidences where I can definitely back me up. Another incident which I have people to back me up on this too, is we went out camping, or not camping. We went to a cabin of a friend's family. When we were in middle school, their parents were there and shit. We went to their cabin. We were, out by out in the woods doing stuff. Near the Allegheny River. So, we were fishing and stuff during the day, coming in at night, doing normal things. We're middle schoolers, hanging out on the deck, until like 12 or a little bit later. One night, though, it was like raining. Like, it started raining, like, still daylight when it started raining. But then, it rained into the evening, or into the nighttime. We're just in the house for the day, just hanging out, doing whatever. And someone knocks at the door. It's really late at night. Like, it was like, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there. Somewhere in between 2 and 3. And, yeah, you don't do that. Don't answer the door. Don't do that. That happens all the time. Don't do it. Don't do that. That's a rule. You don't do it because you don't know what the fuck it is, and unless you know someone's coming over, do not answer that fucking door. Unless they're screaming, "My house is on fire," or my friend or husband or kid is injured, do not open the fucking door, because a knock is just a knock. It's not any voice involved. There's nothing involved. Just a fucking knock. And it's not like a knock. Like, it's not like the FedEx guy knocks on your door because you have to sign for a package. No, it is like not quite a cop knock, but not quite a normal knock. It's like somewhere in between. It's loud, it's annoying, and it does scare the shit out of you when you first hear it, because it's usually quiet at 2 o'clock in the morning in any house. So yeah, I've had that happen. I've also seen actually over near Frederick, where the Appalachian Mountain starts. I was hiking out there one day, and it got late. Big deal. Just, it was starting to get dark. And, I was close to the trailhead to come out on the road and near where I parked. And there was a thing in the woods. I don't know what it was. It was very tall. I did not look at it straight in its face. I didn't do any of that. I saw a large figure and kept my eyes forward and just kept walking the same speed I was walking. not because of fear, but because I have no way, at the time, I had no way of actually videotaping it and making it worth my time. And I don't want to get fucked over by something in the woods if I can't at least videotape it. So, because flip phone cameras suck, okay? This is before smartphones got really popular. So there's that. And we also had that one thing in around here. There's been a couple things around here that I've me and Dustin have seen, especially up at College Road. That was an interesting one. That was a while ago though. And there's been things that happened around here. The Sykesville Monster is one thing. That is a thing. It's supposed to be a Bigfoot. We have a lot of folklore around here too. We had the Snallygaster, which is a dragon, this weird dragon thing. And we have the Wendigo, which is like a wolf man. Makes you think the Sykesville Monster was the Wendigo. I don't know. We have a lot of folklore around here. We got the Goat Man, which is pretty. I've never seen that thing. So, apparently tries to kill you with an axe. But yeah, I've seen some creepy shit out in the woods.
I need that fun shit.
Luan! Oh, I thought your picture broke.
Check.
I can see and hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened. My camera froze and
I thought you went to. I honestly thought you went to the bathroom because your little picture
No.
came up, and then all of a sudden it said "Do Juan." I thought that might have been like the place you got it.
I need to get no. I need to get rid of that because it was experiment I was doing, and I never got rid of that. I need to get rid of that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. But things are crazy in the world, and we don't know everything, and everybody acts like we. But we are going to close out the stream because it is getting late, and we have gone over the normal allotment of time. Go check out Dustin's stuff at D Burns everywhere. D Burns 187
And if you're
everywhere,
and I don't know if you said it, but if you're into that kind of stuff, go check out the other guy's channel.
What other guy's channel?
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna call it a night and see y'all later. Peace out.